DBS community, welcome back to another video here with Chris, and today we're going to be doing a deck breakdown of the Namakian leader coming out in set 17, which is going to be Piccolo Supreme Power. Very excited about this leader. Even though I don't play yellow anymore, I do find this to be, what's the best way of saying this, probably one of the more interesting yellow leaders, mainly because it's not a Saiyan. Like that's something that's just cool, because we've had, I guess, the two last best tier yellow decks have both been Saiyans, and we just need something a little bit different. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. Hopefully you guys like the video and the deck. If you guys do, hit the bell, hit the notifications button, give me a like, comment, whatever you guys want to do. I appreciate all the support. As well, there's a Patreon down below. You guys can go link that if you guys want some help with Dragon Ball stuff. It's just as well as just wanting to support the channel just in general. So Piccolo here. Auto, place one Namakian card from your hand under this card. When this card attacks, draw one, then search top 5 for a yellow or green Namakian with energy cost, actually with no specific energy cost. Add it to your hand and then shuffle. And then auto for your awaken when you have 4 life or less, or there are 2 more cards underneath your leader. You may restand 1, draw 1, and strike life down till you have 5 life. This is a very, very good awaken. Get you in get you in army reinforcement range, one step closer to your actually in this particular deck, it actually hits you with the correct amount of life to where you actually can use your super combos, and just kind of put your deck online from that point on. Permanent, when placing battle cards under other cards to pay skill cost of your Namakian Union Absorb cards, you can use cards from under this card instead. Essentially that means instead of using a card from the field, or using a card from like your hand or whatever, you can just use it from underneath the Piccolo card. Auto, place one Namakian from your hand under this card. When this card attacks, draw 2. And then activate battle, place one card from under this card in the drop area. This card gets 5k for the battle. This is once per turn. This is very cool. This just gives you a little more defense, possibly a little more pushing power, for free, being able to just gain 5k just by pitching a card from underneath them. Very, very cool effect. Very excited about this leader here. So some key cards I built for this deck are these 3 here, and there's gonna be a lot of interesting stuff in this deck, but these 3 cards I feel like are probably the most some of the most key components of the deck. We have Piccolo fused with Kami, which is the only new card in out of these 3 here. It's a 24k energy exhaust crit double strike. You can evolve on top of a Piccolo or a Kami for 1 yellow and two non-specific colors. Permanent, if there are 1 or more cards underneath this, you can if this card were to be moved from the battle area by a skill, you may place all the cards under this card in the drop area instead. So if you have 1 card essentially underneath him or more, when he is removed, instead you kind of perform sort of like a revive mechanic, and you pitch all the cards underneath him to the drop area. When this card is played, you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and KO them. So this card's very powerful. Double strike crit 25 to 24k is an incredible stat line. And also being able to kill 2 battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, is also very powerful as well. This allows you to board clear and apply pressure, not for 3 energy or for 4 energy, probably around the 2 energy mark, because of what we're going to be able to do with the deck. Very, very powerful card. Second one's going to be Lord Slug. Who would have thought Lord Slug being meta again? Not me. Hate it, right? I'm not a big fan of this card from the decks that I play, but when I played yellow, I love this card. It was great. So it's a 20k unique barrier. Bond 2, you just need to have another battle card in play. When this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't add cards from their deck to their hand using non-leader card skills. Essentially means they can't draw off of anything other than their leader effect. And then activate main, if your leader is yellow or a Lord Slug card, you pitch this card from your hand, you play up to 1 energy cost Slug's army from your deck, then shuffle your deck. This card is going to be a key component to this deck. For 1, it is the Namakian, so it's searchable. And 2, it just gives you a very prominent card that you can just put on the board. It's going to be very difficult for your opponents to remove, especially with all the defense that you have as a yellow deck. And the units that we are running is going to be the Android 20, Dr. Mew, Hellish, and Accomplices. Auto, once per turn, if it's your turn, when you activate a Evolve or a Union skill, add a marker to this card. We do. We have Evolve skills, and we have Union Absorb skills. So this card can gain markers from both of those. Auto, once per turn, if it's your turn, when you remove a marker for this card using a Spirit Boost skill, choose up 20 opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and KO it. I think we have Spirit Boost effects in this deck, but if not, it's also something that you can just side deck Spirit Boost effects and then use those to your advantage there. Activate main, draw 1, and pitch 1 card from your hand, and then -2, add up to 1 mono yellow battle card with energy cost of 5 or less, and the Evolve skill from your deck to your hand. I think we have an option for that, if I'm not mistaken. But we really run this for the just having a very powerful unison on board that it's very difficult to remove. That also gains effects off of our Union Absorb and our Evolve targets. Now, we're going to go into the deck, the rest of the deck, and we'll show you guys what I came up with. Alright, so here is the list in its entirety. I believe we are at 53 cards in this particular list, and we'll kind of just go over the cards as we go from the left to down to the bottom here. So we have Piccolo with Nail's Might. This is a 3-cost Evolve target. When this card is played or attacks, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. What's nice is that this is not once per turn, so when you play this card, you can KO something, and when it attacks, you can KO something. If it is your opponent's turn, when this card is using a combo from your hand, you choose up to one Namakian card in your battle area and switch to active mode. Essentially meaning we can restand any of our Namakians. A lot of them, you may want to restand them, but it just gives you a very, just a very cool combo piece there. But it's also 5k. Very, very powerful card, actually. Like, I know no defense, and kind of thankful it doesn't have any defense, because this card actually would be incredibly difficult to remove. But for what this card does, this is a incredibly, turn sideways card, just being able to just KO a bunch of stuff. So this card's going to put in a lot of work. And we have the 1-drop Piccolos. We have Ready to Fuse and Fusion's Resolve. So Ready to Fuse, search top 5 for a yellow Namakian. And then it has a Union Absorb for 1, where you choose one Namakian card in your hand or battle area and place it under this card. And you play up to one 3-cost Piccolo, yellow Piccolo from your deck or hand on top of this. Now, because this is a Union skill, this part here where it says you choose a card in your hand or battle area, you can choose a card underneath your Piccolo. So that's kind of where that effect comes in, right? We have Piccolo, Fusion, Resolve. Same sort of idea. This one draws a card. This one is a Union Absorb for 2. You have to have 3 energy, and you choose a Namakian card, hand or battle area, place it under this card. You put up to 1 4-drop Piccolo from your hand or deck. Now, so Ready to Fuse plays out a 3-cost. Piccolo's Resolve plays out a 4-cost. So we'll start with the 3-costs here. And not actually a lot of 3-costs in this deck, actually. I don't think I actually put a 3-cost in here for some reason. I did. It was this guy, duh, obviously. I was like, I'm pretty sure there was a 3-cost in there. So it's just this guy here. There is a 3-cost multicolor that you can play as well. I just felt like this was just better. We don't want to run too much multicolor in this deck. Just for, purposes, obviously everything's essentially being yellow. So we don't want to run too much other multicolor stuff. We do have some multicolor stuff in here with these. But it just allows you to, play this guy out for 1 energy. Essentially 2 energy, and just gives you a pretty powerful card there. Now the 4 costs. So we have 2 different 4 costs in this deck. We obviously have the Fuse with Kami that we've already gone over right before this, the crit double strike guy that kills 2 things. We also have Piccolo Assimilated Ability, and this card is snapped, absolutely snapped in this deck. This card is incredibly scary to think about. Now you can play it in this deck, and it's basically turn 3 you can play it for 2 energy, right? This card is a 20k barrier for those who don't know, and then has activate battle once per turn, bond 2, choose one of your opponent's battle cards 5 or less and KO it. If you KO'd a card, draw a card. What's powerful about this? 20k barrier, bond 2. We can pair that with the 20k barrier, bond 2 of Slug, where you have this combination of 2 barrier cards, one stopping your opponent from drawing and one's killing stuff whenever it attacks and you're drawing a card. It's a very powerful combination, right? I don't have Poutine in this deck. We don't do a ton of rusting. But Poutine's something else you can add too. And then it just makes this very incredibly insane defensive line of barrier cards that's going to be very difficult for your opponent to get through. But Piccolo Summon ability, we've just run 2 of it. Also, what's nice is that it is a 1 specific cost green. So essentially, if you charge like a multicolor here or a green card, and you can play this actually out for 4 energy, with 3 yellow and then 1 green. So that actually is very interesting too, which could be a reason why to bump this up to 3 or even 4. Ancient Wisdom Guru, this is your super combo. Kind of the same idea as why you run the Piccolo combo in King Piccolo, is that it's searchable, right? This is a searchable super combo, and it's also at 5 life, you draw 1 and gain 10k. So the fact that this is searchable off of our leader and off of most of our searching cards, actually all of our searching cards, is incredibly powerful. So this is definitely the best super combo for the deck, in my opinion. Next is going to be Life or Death Nail. So Nail is another evolved target, so you actually can search him off of the Unison here, as well as you can search with Nail's Might also off this card as well. So what this card does, permanent, if there are 2 or more Namakians under this card gains Barrier and Double Strike. So you can evolve, and I believe also I thought there was a way to actually play this guy out off the Nail here, I think, right? No. I thought there was a way to play this card out. Don't remember. Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah, so this guy's actually a Nail as well. So this guy's actually Piccolo and Nail. So you can play, so you can have this guy on the board, right? You can do the Union Absorb for 1. So you put this card and another card underneath to play this guy out, right? You play this guy out. Now you actually can play this guy on top of him, and because it's gonna have 2 cards underneath him, he's gonna gain Barrier and Double Strike. So he's gonna be a 20k Barrier Double Strike. And then Auto Sparking 5. When you play this card, you may choose one life, and choose one of your cards in your life and add to your hand. If you do, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring Barrier, and switch it to Rest mode. So this also gives you a way to be able to tap down something. Like against, Sin, being able to tap down the 9-drop, pretty cool. Being able to just tap down any battle card, and then also, possibly being able to swing into that battle card is very, very important. I think it's pretty cool as a 2-of. So the fact that it can evolve on top of a Nail, you can evolve on top of this guy here, and then also, like I said, you can evolve on top of this Piccolo here, because this is technically a Piccolo and a Nail. Assimilate seems pretty, like a very simple add. It's a free search any of your 2 or less guys out, so you can search out Lord Slug, either one of your Piccolo 1-drops or your Nail 1-drop here, which we haven't gotten to yet. Slug engine here, pretty self-explanatory. They're both Namakians, so they're both searchable. This being a draw 1 cantrip that plays out the 3-drop, obviously good. And then we also know what Lord Slug does, because he's a very irritating card for most people. Some decks actually don't have any problem clearing this guy. Some decks fold completely when you play this guy. So it's I would say maybe not a format defining card, but definitely changes stuff when this leader becomes more more relevant. Hole in my sweater, very interesting. Sorry. So next here is going to be Nail the Protector. Permanent, while this card is under a yellow Piccolo card in your battle area, that card gets 1k power. So if you use the Nail from underneath your life to absorb into this becomes a 21k battle card. And it just says under a Piccolo card, which I don't think this card actually counts as Piccolo, right? It just counts as Nail. So if this goes into any Piccolo card under a yellow Piccolo, so it's either this or this guy here, they gain 1k. When you play this card, you search top 5 for a yellow Namakian or a Unison with a specific cost of 1. We don't play the 1-drop Dende Unison in this deck, so it's really just there for the searchable part. But also, this is just a great card to just put underneath your leader, because once it goes under there, it gains 1k power. Also, somehow, if you can actually absorb multiple of these, which I actually I think it's actually possible. You can gain more power, because it's not a limit on that. Piccolo assimilability we already talked about. Mecha Frieza, it's pretty self-explanatory. So that's why we're running the assimilates. We have 1 power, one POS, 2 of the Black Kamehamehas, and then 2 of the Super Namakian Might, which I actually think is a very interesting card that people don't play. For one, it is on theme with the Namakian stuff, but also it's a negate. When you pitch a card from your hand, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons and negate its skills for the turn. Essentially, almost like a petrification, right? Not in the same way where your opponent, it stops autos, but being able to stop unisons from activating abilities, very cool, right? So also, if you negate a unison's abilities, if they go to attack and they give a double strike for some reason, you can't gain double strike because it's kind of like a final flash for the unison. So I think this is actually a very interesting card. People probably should play around with a little bit. I think with Mecha Frieza being your main negate and now having Black Kamehameha for more defensive pressure, it's something that where you can actually afford to run it now. So it's kind of like this is the slot where you would probably either run this or Flying Nimbus. I guess it really just depends on your preference. Unison, we've already gone over. POS, you don't really need to go over. This card, we all know why it's really good. It's also why it's limited to 1 now. Black Kamehameha, another very, very good card. Gives us a little more defense. Being being able to tap stuff down is also being able to give us a you know, a 10k push. Sacrifice is amazing. So it's a negate. You can activate it for free by taking a life if your leader is a Namakian. So doesn't count towards Mecha Frieza, unfortunately, but we can take this. We can use this just to take life whenever we want to. It's essentially like a sparking negate, but we don't have to have sparking. We don't have to have a certain amount of life. We can just activate it whenever we want to. So very, very powerful card. I think 3 of it's pretty safe in this deck. 3 steadfast. Again, we do run a you know, a decent amount of yellow stuff, so we want to make sure that this card is going to be live, just gives us more defense. Already went over the Super Namakian, and then we have Pan, Time Patrol, Maiden. This slot is kind of interesting. I would say you can run this or the secret rare that was revealed accidentally leaked, I should say. I'm not going to go over what that secret rare does. I'm going to wait till Bandai actually announces it. But the other secret rare felt very interesting in this deck. Something that I think could possibly work, but had to put Pan here instead because that card's actually technically not out, so it's not on deck planet, and I'm not going to talk about what the actual card does. Just know that it works in this deck. But Pan also is a very good alternative as well. You can also run Kai if you want to as well. Both of those are pretty good. Super 17 is a potential one as well, just to give you another defensive card. So any of those, that just kind of, you know, more so about the person and the player rather than the actual archetype itself. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully this deck is gives you sort of a template of what you can look for when playing Piccolo or playing against Piccolo. And thank you guys as always for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.